So today started just like the previous week. We handed in our passports, we got our visitors passes, we went for lunch. There were issues with room placement, which there always seems to be. It's just very chaotic, nothing's organised. And in the first week, first couple of weeks, it didn't really bother me. But now it's just got to a point where I just think, I don't know why you can't organise this prior to us getting here. It's just wasting time. This week we're going to continue with what we were doing the previous week with the paper prototypes. We did eventually get set up in one of the rooms opposite the canteen. Again, this was a different room. It was quite a nice space, there was lots of table room and we were able to sit in a circle, so it felt quite, it was good in that respect. Like I said, I was working with Danny for this. He had already prior to this session started making the main body of his bag and thinking about what he wanted to do. He was very clear about what he wanted, and his bag was overly complicated. He wanted a decoy buckle on the outside, and then when you lifted up the flap there was two other buckles inside which did actually work. He then wanted you to have to go through a zip and a drawstring. Referring back to his persona, who was Lauren, who was a busy working woman, I tried to ask him whether he felt as though she would actually A, purchase this bag, and 2, whether she would actually shut it up as it's supposed to be. And if it's not closed in the way that you've designed it, is it still going to be anti-theft? So we agreed that we'd get rid of the zips. So I thought that was a bonus. And I thought, he's got rid of one. I'm sure as time progresses and he realises that, having a decoy buckle is a good idea, and lots of ladies' bags have it. But you don't want the bag to be overly complicated. Simple but safe. And usability testing will probably, further back that up. One of the main features of Danny's bag is that there's a bottom compartment that can be separated from the top, and that's for her gym gear to go in, which is a really good idea actually. But what we wanted to do was trying to create that as a paper prototype, and I was letting Danny take the lead and I was trying to explain to him how to do it. And I was even showing him, but he just wasn't understanding it. And in the end, he sort of became quite frustrated about it, which isn't what we want. Making the paper prototypes is supposed to be fun. So we decided that for the time being, we'd just draw it on pen and shade it out so it illustrates that. Overall, the session was fairly productive. Everybody was engaging, there was talk as usual. There was one particular moment to sort of note, and that Danny and Lee were sat next to each other, and for me, I always believed that Lee was the more dominating character and was perhaps the one that looked after Danny. But I actually saw a different dynamic to the boys' relationship. They were talking about something, and then Danny looked at me and he was like, he's not saying out because he knows I'm right, blah 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 blah. He's like a son to me, I look out for him. And Lee sort of nodded in agreement, and I don't know, it just showed me a different side to them, and it just goes to show that, you do need people to have your back in there and look out for you. It's quite easy to forget that it's probably a really tough environment to be in. We get to see the positive sides where they get to do fun activities, but that's 2 hours a day. The rest of the time they're either doing chores or they're locked up in a cell, and that really can't be fun at all. you know, I think one of the things that has quickly become apparent is it's not only like seeing the inmates and you know, enjoying working with them. I'm also enjoying working with the other volunteers, and that wasn't really a relationship that I'd sort of considered prior to this. You know, we're getting on really well, and I look forward to having our lunches together and talking. And yeah, it was one of the volunteers actually told us a really personal story about her life back home, and it was kind of heartbreaking. It was difficult to listen to, but I think that just further sort of shows that, you know, we're bonding as well as bonding with the other inmates, which I think is really, yeah, it wasn't something that I'd sort of thought about or anticipated. Overall today has been a good day. You know, we've gotten what we needed to get done. You know, we've made our 3D prototypes. We've done, yeah, so we're ready for tomorrow, where we're going to be doing soft critiques and just body storming techniques. So that should be interesting. But yeah, I left feeling in a good mood.